Scientific determinism rests upon the assumption of cause and effect. It states that for every event there exists a cause or causes that could have caused no other event. Scientific determinism can be tested and checked according to scientific methodology, specifically using physics. For every physical event there is a physical cause. This is mechanistic. The theory of universal causation. Thoughts and decisions are causally determined. Regularity means that complete prediction in our physical universe is theoretically possible. This is incompatible with any theory of free will. This is consistent with the Newtonian view that all things, living or otherwise, must operate in accordance with the laws of nature. Given the laws of cause and effect, we can determine the future state of a system by applying those laws of nature and information about that initial state. Where a state is apparently unpredictable or appears to act in a random way, this is not evidence of freedom. It is simply ignorance of the causes. Everything is predictable. Laplace extended an idea of Gottfried Leibniz, which became known as Laplace's demon. Laplace said that if there was a mind which was clever enough to understand all the laws of nature and big enough to know all the existing facts of nature, then that mind could predict exactly what could happen in the future, moment by moment. This hypothetical mind would be entirely omniscient, and would know all our future decisions as though they have already happened, with as much certainty as the present moment. Based on a Newtonian understanding of the workings of the universe, Laplace theorized that an intellect that at any point in time could know the forces, positions and velocities for all the particles that were in operation in nature, at any time could know for certain what would happen, and nothing for that intellect would remain uncertain. He claimed that the future would be like the present before its eyes. The difficulties of Laplace's theory are that with the arrival of Einstein's theory of relativity and the work of quantum physics, it appears that there is an apparent randomness of the behavior of particles. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle states that the behavior of particles cannot be entirely predicted with complete certainty. The more precisely the position of a particle is known, the less certain we can be about the momenticle of that particle, and vice versa. If this is the case, then it seems that the demon could not know with certainty the future in the same way that it knows the present. However, the indeterminist would argue that there is no difference to our freedom if we argue that things are causally determined or not. Either way, we are not free. We would either function like a clock or like a roulette ball. Either way, we are not the authors of our own future. Some have argued that there is a limit to the computational power of the universe. Anything that exceeds this limit cannot be computed, given the amount of time that has elapsed so far within the universe. Having said this, some have argued that if the demon occupied a parallel universe, then this limit would not apply, since calculations could be done on an alternate timeline. Baron de Holbach is another scholar who argued in support of scientific determinism. In the system of nature, he took a materialist stance based on scientific analysis and claimed that the soul is simply an illusion. It is a word which explains the operations of the brain. If we accept science, we will see that the world is simply the operations of that physical brain, and that they are less obvious to us. Free will and the soul are simply illusions that must be rejected if science is correct. De Holbach argued, most significantly, that whilst we appear to act according to our own desires and will, we do not feel forced. Actually, it is that desire and will that is evidence of our determined nature. He pointed out that the very behaviour we exhibit is as a result of the external causes that bring about our desire to act in the first place. De Holbach pointed out that whilst we think we are free, in fact we are merely a product of the thing we think we are controlling. In fact, whilst we act according to our desires, it is our desires that are themselves caused by things other than us. I do not will what I will. I cannot control what I favour or what I hate. I do not choose my preferences. My preferences come to me independent of my will, and I act according to them. This means that I am determined, not free. For instance, if you are in class and you feel thirsty, you feel that you are in a position to choose your action. Whilst you might not have chosen the feeling of thirst, you do feel that you choose how you behave as a result. You might experience the process of deliberation and weighing up the alternatives. You may know, for instance, that you could drink water, but that your tutor might be offended by this act, either because she has a rule that you shouldn't drink in class, or because she would object if you left the room to get a drink during a lesson, protesting that this was an activity to do at break time. You consider that you could wait and have a drink after the lesson, but you know that if you choose this, you will feel uncomfortable and distracted until you can quench your thirst. In this instance, you deliberate and then act according to your strongest inclination. You cannot change what is your strongest desire. You feel as though you are free, but like the fly on the last slide, you are controlled by your desires, not the other way round. In the same way, the prisoner in a cell wishes to leave but is locked in. He cannot change his desire to leave any more than he can leave the cell. In fact, the person who is not a prisoner is no more free than the prisoner himself. Both people are slaves to their own desires, their own will, and neither one of them has any control over this.